scale of 1 to 10, how much of a Star Wars fan I am, I would put it somewhere in the 80 to 90. 1977, right when it came out, and then from then it just never stopped. Star Wars never stopped for me. It was 1977. I was here on vacation, and the revolution was starting. Right. So my dad got a little worried, and he said maybe they should stay here. And I had just told all my friends in Iran, hey, I'm coming to America. I've watched tons of cowboy movies and all this other stuff. I said, wow, I'm going to the land of Clint Eastwood and John Wayne. And so I came here, was having a fun time. And my cousin at the time, he had lived here. He goes, hey, I'm going to take Ardeshir to a movie. So we went to Star Wars. And I had no idea what the hell it was. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. As a Zoroastrian kid, I was raised with that philosophy from day one. Right. So much of it comes from Zoroastrianism. Nobody likes to talk about it today. But when you look at it, Jedi, Magi, right. We believe that there's a good path and a bad path. We actually say it. One's called the happy mind and the other one is called the angry mind. So we get the word angry from Persians from that, angra menu. So there was this whole dark and light side, for Zoroastrians, they pray towards light, any bright light. So we're actually taught light, that kind of stuff. So it was a very interesting thing for me to see this as a kid and then have my father tell me about this. I said, wow, that's insane. Why don't you take the most famous leader of any country in the world, drop him off in another country. Most people won't know who the hell he is. I go, but drop Darth Vader off in the middle of Africa, and you'll see a little kid go, ooh, Darth Vader. I was a polo player, pro polo player. By profession, I'm a stuntman. So as a stuntman, it also segued into acting. So I've been lucky to have not only a little bit more aggressive side of the entertainment business, which is, stunts and some pretty specific, related stunts, whether it's horses or weapons and things like that. But then that segued into acting because I had a natural ability to deliver lines, or if I was in a situation where they said, hey, we need a horseman that can also deliver these lines, or we needed somebody that could speak Farsi, or somebody that can look a specific way and maybe, speak, English fluently, but I can be bearded up and maybe look like, something that they stereotypically. When I was playing polo, we would do maybe, 10 charities, 20 charities a year that we would play polo for. When I got into the entertainment business, that all went away. It only existed in polo, and I was phasing polo out. And there was just something about entertainment business that there's a lot of really good people that I know, but I needed the feeling that I got to give something back. I can't just do things for myself. So loved Star Wars, found out about the 501st. So I became a part of that group in 2019, I think, 2020, 2019. Very fresh, The whole costuming aspect of it was right. so natural to me that I was like, I built metal armor, I built leather stuff. When I got into it, it came so fast that, one Centurion level costume after another just kicked. And by the way, when I got so into the costuming that for me building it was like, how can I even do it better? Right. Like, I'll take it to Centurion, but then how do I do it to where if, Lucas himself saw it, said, oh, this is the way. For me, it was always a little bit more than a movie, and I've had some pretty, lucky coincidences in my life, with regards to Star Wars. So it's always meant something more to me than a movie. Or misfortune can steer you, in the bad path. Right. So derail Hitler, let him into architectural school, and you don't have this dictator. He would have just been an architect designing shitty buildings, someplace. What are these rocks that derail people from, doing something good or something bad, And so to me, I was always taught to be very conscious of what was going on, and I feel like even when I was watching, Star Wars, I saw it as a personal conflict within each one. I think they did a really good job of telling us that that world is as complicated as our world, So it really intrigued me. Really, really. It intrigued me when I thought back even on my own heritage, Persian warriors. Suicide is a mortal sin for, ancient Persians. So how did they line up? How do they line up and know that they're going to confront a heavy line of Romans, knowing that they might be sacrificing themselves? So there was a larger thought that they thought of, you know what I mean, in that sense. So I thought that Star Wars was really, it tied in very well. By the way, another one was Dune that tied in really well with me. There's a lot that is in Dune that is it comes from Zoroastrian philosophy. I mean, what do they call him? The Padishah Emperor, right?
Yeah.
But then what does he tell his son? You know, he tells his son, without change, something sleeps in us. The sleeper must awaken. My dad used to always tell me that as a kid. Don't let something sleep inside of you. Always wake it up. Always wake it up.
Right.
You know? When people say that this is fiction or science fiction, I don't believe some of them are science fiction. I believe some of them is just a story that happened someplace else. You're just telling it in a different costume, in a different period. The story means something to us because you can really, you know, the beautiful thing about the original trilogy of Star Wars, where some of the other ones have kind of maybe lost a little bit of it, is it seemed real to all of us.
Right.
This is a kid. He just wanted to go to Tahashi Station and screw around with his friends. Then finds out he has a better task in his life. Then he finds out there's conflict in his life. Then he finds out the whole universe is in conflict. And maybe this story isn't the first time it has happened, that there were Jedi before him. And then what does he do ultimately? Luke, what does he say ultimately at the end? And I'm not the last Jedi. So maybe this isn't the last time Star Wars is being told, as you were saying. Just what we did was we just changed one outfit for another, or one outfit for another. So it is repeating itself, not only in history, did it in World War II. You know, who's to say that right now, and there was statements of this being said, I don't agree with it, let me just put that on the record, but a lot of the insurgents in the Middle East and some of the conflicts that we fought were saying, we are the Jedi and the rebels and they are the Empire. It's their own interpretation of how they were viewing it.
Right.
You know, and if you look at the rebels, what do they look like? They do look like insurgents versus the cleanliness and the law and order of the Empire. I love Darth Vader. I think Darth Vader is awesome. But he says he's not, his whole life is struggle. He can't breathe.
Yeah.
He's tore up underneath. He's lost everything that he has lost. You know, when there was a private moment that I had that I got to see the end of Kenobi's, previs that we did for the fight sequence. And Deborah Chow asked me, she goes, what do you think? I said, Darth Vader is trying to kill Anakin as much as he's trying to kill Obi-Wan. So he doesn't have that peace.
Right.
There's no way that story has not been repeated over and over and over and over again. So for me personally, we always viewed Alexander as he was lied to and told that, hey, there's barbarians there. He goes and he conquers it and he goes, no, we were the barbarians. This is where civilization was. And at the end of it, he married Persian, he spoke Persian, and he died in Persia. And so they were sitting there going, what really was he? I said, well, he was envious of that Persian side. He found his peace in a different way. But did he really have peace? Because he's like, what did I do? I put this world in disarray. It was very visible to him when he went to India, and on his way back, he stopped at Cyrus the Great's tomb to see that it was looted. And they said he never recovered from it. He said, how can that be? How can somebody disrespect something like that? So that turmoil that exists within them, you see it in all these movies. I mean, that turmoil exists in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That turmoil exists in Lord of the Rings. The greed of them wanting the ring or the power and all that other stuff. Fighting. How do these men decide to go and fight for Sauron? Versus the rest of the men who decided to stand with the elves and do that stuff. It's the same thing as Star Wars. It's where do you find your peace of mind? You know what you're doing. And I think that's the moral compass of Star Wars, and you see it even in the